Testing. All right, we're ready. Rock and roll.
Call the Village of Bonduel Committee of the Whole meeting to order on Wednesday, July 26, 2023 at 6 p.m. Statement regarding the meeting notice. The agenda for the meeting was sent to the channel leader and results broadcasting. Copies of the agenda were also posted at the Village Hall, Bonduel State Bank, and Bonduel Library. Can I have approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda and deviate as necessary.
Second.
Motion by Hanstein, second by Kelly, to approve the agenda and deviate as necessary. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Can I have approval of the Wednesday, June 28th, 2023 minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from Wednesday, June 28th, 2023.
I'll second that.
Motion by Court, second by Zuger, to approve the minutes from June 28th, 2023. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Acknowledgement of citizenship open forum we have. Reports, Fire Chief. Police Chief, Eric Gross.
We keep dealing with these juveniles in town. Well, I say juveniles, some of them are 18, 19 years old. Did some checking again today. One of them is currently out on 10 active bonds, which means we arrest them, bring them to jail, they get released, and their next court date is in October. So we're stuck in the cycle right now where we're doing what we can. Jesse brought me 3 more pictures of them, so they're going to be receiving more charges for that kind of stuff. But we keep chasing them, but they are stuck in the court system wheels right now. So
What's the current status of the sex offender?
the sex offender, our ordinance, the way it's written, which we may have to address in the future, defines the victim has to be under the age of 16. I've done 2 phone calls down there and sent a letter down to their DA's office asking for the age of the victim that was in this case. If it's somebody who's under the age of 16, then they would fall under the you can't live here rules, and then we can move them, proceed on doing whatever we need to do with that. But until I get the official record from the district attorney's office down there, we're stuck there too. So
What
again,
district attorney is this?
That's down in Sheboygan, I believe.
I have one other thing to bring up. We got, the board members got an email the other day from a concerned citizen about parking out here with the police department for handicap parking. She sent us a picture of it parked in the handicap spot. So I guess she's just asking if we can no longer park there and leave that accessible for handicapped people at all times.
Sure. I know one that happened that was after hours. So yeah, I'll make sure the guys know about that.
Anything else for Eric? Clerk, treasurer's report.
I had my class last week for UWGB. I finished that up, so I will be done with that for 4 years of that. A lot of good stuff there. Things to think about with budget and things coming up. Of that, one of the things that came up is this shared revenue that we're supposed to be getting. I've been trying to watch the Act 12 stuff on what we get from the different emails and that. Haven't really seen, it says we're getting stuff and it's all been approved, but I haven't really seen numbers yet. I did get a letter yesterday from Peter Schmidt's office stating what we're supposed to get in shared revenue. I haven't seen anything like from the state yet, but from Peter's office, for 2024, he's stating we're supposed to get an additional $53,000 in shared revenue. He's saying it's supposed to come in on the shared revenue line, which right now we get like 181,000. I don't know if that's exactly where it's coming in. He says I can contact him, but I haven't done it. And then the next year would be about 54,000. I don't know if I know at one point it was kind of broke up by sections, like some was for protective services, some was this, some was that, but the way he's showing it, it's coming in as a shared revenue. So At this point, he's just giving us what it's supposed to be,
And he didn't say how that's,
broke out.
right, okay.
He's just showing, he sent it, it says that basically our existing aid for shared revenue was 181.9. And that we're supposed to get a bump of 53,000, with total aid being 23, or 235.6. But, so I looked at our budget stuff, and last year we got 181.9 for the shared revenue, which is just one line of aid we get from the state. So if that's the case, we're just gonna get it in as a shared revenue, it's not you're noted for one thing or the other.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's the case, because I mean, everything I've read on this Act 12 stuff, it all was saying, you know, it was for different things with shared revenue. So I guess until I get more from the state, at this point, we're supposed to get a bump, so we'll see how it pans out for this next year. But in the class, they kind of said we should probably be looking at that and don't think, okay, we have an extra $50,000 to spend next year. We should probably look at what we absolutely need to use for operating, and then be resourceful with what we're getting, and try to use that for projects or equipment, or use it for future, not just blow it one year if we don't have to, because, you know, it's kind of a bump.
But it's not a use it or lose it, so.
No,
If we use
but-
partially, we could bank it and then,
Correct, but, you know, our costs are gonna go up next year in a lot of things.
Right.
So, I mean, I do see that we're gonna have to use some of it.
Right.
But if, you know, let's say we end up using half of it for operational, when we get to that budgeting thing, you know, if there's like half of that, we can maybe say, okay, let's throw that towards equipment, because that's always a challenge, is equipment. You know, maybe we can bump up that equipment dollar amount to, you know, whatever, but, you know, they said that that was one of the things in trying to, you know, strategically plan for the future, is that with this, try to be resourceful with it and not just look at, oh, okay, well, let's blow it 1 year. Which we may have to, I don't know that, but, you know, it's something to think about with love.
cool.
Director of Municipal Operations.
Tis the season, busy with construction. We got Sam Yoder, Worldwide, BRK, Village Tractor, all doing construction right now in the village. I don't know if you've seen Mr. Yoder cleared a lot there next to the dentist. He's getting that all taken care of at the same time. They cleared the rest of that lot for BRK to do the phase 2 of their building, to put their other 2 buildings up. Worldwide's expanding. Village Tractor got their state approval permit for all that, so that's all keeping me kind of busy. And I think I already explained of our Doncho Street failure, of the attempt to IR the road didn't work. Hopefully we get that done here shortly so we can get out the assessments. It's lingering on, but we can't get final payment until the road is complete. Just a heads up, Village Park, the ball field lights have been burning out 3 this year, and we can no longer find parts or pieces for them. They're old ballast lights. They don't make them anymore. They've been up there for 50, 60 years. So that's probably something we're going to have to look at coming up here in the budget, about replacing all the lights. The good news is it'd be LED. Use a lot of less electricity. Bad news is it's going to be pretty expensive. I got 2 quotes coming in, so we'll figure that out as we get the budget. But that's something we can't really pass up. Otherwise, we'll just be stuck playing games during the day because we can't find parts.
Right.
Then other than that, we're just getting ready for the corn roast. Preparing the park, getting everything. We're going to do a little different with trash this year. We're trying a few things. Last year, the bathrooms went well for the corn roast. Not so much for the 4th of July. These are all learning experience. Before, we used to keep them all shut down to help reduce the cost to the nonprofit organizations. But we're taking some steps this year at the corn roast with trash to see if we can reduce the amount that we have to pay for it. So tweaking a few things of old and hopefully have better results.
What are you doing with the trash? What are you doing different?
Well, I'm going to get a couple 6-yard dumpsters, because what would happen is you have the kickball tournament right after it. So you'd fill up our dump trailer, and we'd have to come and dump it and bring it back and dump it and bring it back. So rather than doing that, then what ends up happening is that once we dump it in a compactor, then we have to call to get that hauled, and then it's just kicking the can down the road. And then that takes 2 weeks, and we got trash backed up there. So with the 6-yard dumpster, each of them are only $100 to place, dump, and haul away. So that's $200 in trash, whereas a compactor to haul away that's full of trash is anywhere between $600 and $1,000. So, and I'm not saying the whole thing is full of the corn rolls, or pick an event, celebrate Bonduel with the 4th of July, but that should reduce the cost of us having to pull that out. And we'll see, maybe 2 6-yarders aren't enough. We always have that trailer on backup for the kickball tournament, but we'll see what happens.
New business, G1, discussion and possible recommendation on amendment to Bonduel Municipal Code Section 103-13, fences and walls.
What this is that recommending that we change the approval authority from the building inspector to myself, because I am zoning and code enforcement. So what normally happens, somebody wants to put up a fence, they contact me, I tell them what the ordinance is, and then they got to call Paul, and then Paul does a building permit, and then Paul calls me to make sure that I've talked to these people and everything else. So Paul's like the middleman. So let's just cut out the middleman and I'll do the fencing, because there's no code requirement for fencing as far as, structurally sound or things of that nature. Obviously, we still have all the things in the code where it has to be a wood fence up to 6 foot, chain link fence, things of that nature. But there's no building code or permit really. The building permit, I think, was placed in the wrong aspect of things.
So right now, when you get a fence or want to have a fence, there is no land use permit for a fence, but you have to get a building permit for a fence. So then, basically, Jesse still has to go out there and look at it to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to, and then Paul comes, they pay $50 for the fence permit. Paul really doesn't do anything. So we've talked to Paul and he said this doesn't really make sense. Because Jesse really should be going out to make sure they're 2 feet off the lot line and all that. So it would make more sense for us to issue the land use permit at $50. Either way, we're getting 50
Yeah, it's
bucks.
the same price.
So first part would be changing this ordinance to change it that the director of municipal operations would be issuing a land use permit. That makes sense?
Chris, is there a height limit to that?
Yes, but, well, in residential, it's 6 foot high, privacy. It can be wood or vinyl.
It has to be 6 feet or can
It can be up to 6 feet.
up to 6?
That's the side, that's the backyard only. If you do it in the side yard, then it becomes a decorative fence it's just a decorative fence that can be, what is it, 15 foot long or something? So you can't really do nothing with it. What's decorative? It's a lot of interpretation. So, and then when it comes to like commercial and industrial, there's different requirements for security fences and stuff like that. You can go up to 10 feet.
I'll make a motion to approve these changes and take it to the full board.
I'll second it.
Motion by Kelly, second by Hoppenstein. Make the recommendation on amendment to Bonduel Municipal Code Section 103-13, fences and walls. Is there any discussion?
I just have one. So on the fences by the private swimming pool, it says from 5 to 4.
Right, I guess if we have to mention that, huh? So before we went through all this in a 4 foot privacy fence, so most above ground swimming pools are at least 4 foot. And when we looked at this, when I first came here back in 2020, we kept it at 5 foot because we looked at what other communities did. And it was like a split. We decided to stay at 5 foot. Good thing we thought that. I forgot all about that. So what I'm recommending is changing that to 4 foot. And that would eliminate some of the problems that we had with me enforcing pools and fencing around here.
So it eliminate enforcing that at all.
Well, you still have, so technically if you have a pool that's deeper than 2 feet, you have to have a fence around it.
Fence around it.
Yeah, so a 2 foot pool, a kiddie pool that's, 24 inches deep, you gotta have a 4 foot fence around it. Now, all these other above ground more permanent structures that are 4 foot, down here on, First Street. I can butcher his last name, Solowski or, so. Ziskowski. So that, I mean, he would still have his fence up there, along with a couple other ones in town. But moving forward, it would lessen the restrictions on the height requirement.
So I'll amend with that extra addition.
Motion by Kelly, second by Armstrong. To recommend the amendment to the Bonduel Municipal Code, section 103-13, fences and walls. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible recommendation on amendment to Bonduel building permit fee schedule.
So this goes with that, like I said, before we had where you didn't need a land use, but you needed the building permit. So what we would be doing is taking the, fences off of here, off the building permit. So we would just be removing fences, and then Jesse would take care of the $50 for the land use. We don't have a fee schedule for land use, so we would be doing, an amendment to the building fee schedule.
I'll make a motion to recommend to the board that we amend the building permit with the fences.
I'll second it.
Motion by Court, second by Zuger. To make the recommendation on amendment to Bonduel building permit fee schedule. Is there any discussion? In favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible recommendation on inquiry to purchase a portion of village property on parcel 107-70050-0220.
I guess I was approached by the property owner asking if they would be interested, if you guys, the board would be interested in selling her additional property. We own the property behind their yard. They wanted to have for playground and activities with their children. I said, I am not sure if the village would be interested in selling it. I thought they would be here to state their case. But you can see what they're recommending, 43 feet. I have no idea how they come up with that amount of footage. But on the page, you can see where it would come out to. But
So they don't want the whole
Nope.
thing.
Just the yellow denoted area.
Yeah.
back
Yeah, like
there.
all the dotted line.
But you don't know how they're coming up with the 43 feet?
I don't know what they're coming up with the 43 feet, how they derive from that. I thought, maybe they were going to square it off with the other lots. I don't know. That's why I thought they would be here to state their case. Why they need 43 feet to, impress upon them. I already told them in order for us to sell it, you'd have to do a certified survey map, get that approved by the village. That's going to be about $2,000. You're going to have to do the pay of the land, price of the land, whatever that is, pay the closing cost. To get 43 feet of property that I'm not even sure that the village board members would be interested in selling.
Because that kind of goes close to the
Yeah.
ball or the practice.
Batting cages and all that. I'll make a motion since they did not show up to clarify the situation and move it to a later date.
Motion by Kelly, second by Page. To move the recommendation on inquiry to purchase portion of village property on parcel 107-70050-0220 to a later date. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Discussion and possible action on 2010 squad car sale listing.
I went and got the mileage read on it today. It's 75,777, which is already on the page. The Kelly Blue Book value lists it as a fair market of $4,089 to $4,872. Now, the Kelly Blue Book doesn't take into account the fact it's not a regular car. It's a rubberized inside, there's no carpeting in it, I mean, there's no center console in it, all the holes, so none of that's taken into account. But that gives you kind of a jumping off point of what the fair market value is for that car.
I'm sorry, I missed it. How much?
$4,089 is the low end and $4,872. Now Kelly Blue Book has like a green, this
Yeah.
is the green area that's on there.
And you would be the contact on the sale?
Either me or Village, it doesn't make a difference.
Oh, I just figured with your other job, it would probably be better to call the village itself
I would prefer that too.
and
So is
then
there-
Smitty has agreed to Wells Park there.
I didn't know, and I just threw out, this is what we had the last time, so I just threw it out there for food
Oh.
for thought.
We had talked about parking it at
Right.
main
That-
intersection.
That's what I thought.
Yep, and I just threw out there was what last time we ran it in the paper, because it was in 2016. So, Facebook and all that wasn't as hot as it is now, so that's why I'm asking where you guys wanna post it, how you want it to read, what you guys wanna do.
I think we should post it on Marketplace and that's what the sheriff's department's been doing with all their auctions and everything like that.
Post it on the website.
And post it on the village
Is there a-
website.
So we just gotta come up with a price, like if we get an offer from X to Y, just
Yeah, I
accept
guess
it to
we
get
need
rid of
like a
it.
start-
What's the
price.
least amount that you accept?
I think we should,
I think 3,000 or 35 would be fair.
I You're saying around 4 is what it's kind of.
This is
4,089,
4,000 to 48.
is what's listed.
but it has the holes.
Correct, but again,
Shell, isn't it?
what's that?
Basically just a shell.
I know last time we sold, what we got, 45, I think.
I think somewhere in there.
And that one had like 60-some thousand on it, I think.
We're not gonna do steel wool, are we?
No, and
No.
the other one was a sealed bid thing, and I think the last one had like 68,000 miles on it, and I think we got around 35 to 3600.
I think we should put a window of offering and whoever has the highest offer is the one that gets it. We'll list it at 38 or 4,000, 38 to 4,000.
How do you want to do that? Because that's.
Well, I would start out higher.
Then you're doing a sealed
Or
bid.
four-
Yeah,
No, no,
that
no.
would be a sealed
That
bid.
was-
Well, you put an initial price or best offer, right? And then you have 30 days to put an act.
Or you could just say 3,800 minimum, or no exception, or no negotiating.
Put a price up there and be done.
Yeah, and that's what I would
Yeah, I mean, I
recommend
guess
is
I don't-
come up with a price.
I was thinking like $4,000
Just put 4,000 on it.
Yeah, put 4,000 on it, put it on Marketplace and
and see what you get.
How long you gonna put it on there for?
mark it for 30 days.
Well, marketplace, you can leave it on there as long as you want to.
And there's something in here sold as, make sure that stays on there, sold as is. Because a leak from the roof or the hole was for the, I mean, there's gonna be stuff going on with it, so.
I think marketplace, don't they charge you now?
No.
For cars?
No.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know about.
No, if you're, I don't think they do, because
So we're gonna-
something I just
I
said
haven't
that.
I didn't think so.
I don't know. I know Craigslist started to.
And then also on the village website.
Craigslist charges now? That's interesting, okay.
So then it's gonna be, up at,
We'll park that at the main intersection.
Yeah.
We're waiting for the rear seat. There was a hard plastic one in there. We found the initial one, dug around up in the attic and I found the actual seat that goes in the back. So we have to have that finished putting in. Once that's in, we'll get it up there and we'll have Michelle post it and we can go from there. It's all when the installer can get back, because now he's got, his stuff came in and
How much is that gonna cost us?
it's all included with the initial thing, so. And he said it's like 4 or 6 bolts or something he's gotta do, but I'd rather have him do the seat belts. I don't wanna have any responsibility for anything with that, so.
Well, we're selling it as is, so they have to take care of it anyway. So, but
so we're gonna do 4,000. Do you guys wanna do it at what best offer, or just 4,000 and see where it comes in?
yeah, I just put 4,000 on it.
I'll make a motion to, put the car for sale, the 2010 squad car for sale for 4,000, and make sure that it's notes as is, and change it to contact the village hall and park it at the village parking, or wall parking or whatever that is.
I'll second it.
Motion by Halmstein, second by Kelly, for the approval of the 2010 squad car sale listing at $4,000. Best offer as is. And it'll be parked up here, corner by the intersection, and they can contact Village Hall. Is there any other discussion?
I have one more.
Okay, so if we get the $4,000, then we just accept that, right? You don't have to wait until we have an actual meeting.
Correct. Do we need to amend the motion? Oh, good.
Even, I mean, if you wanna amend it, you can. 4,000 will be accepted, otherwise I'd have to bring it back, if that's what you guys wanna do.
I'll make a motion to amend that if we get the 4,000, we'll accept it and don't have to come back.
And I'll second it again.
Motion by Halmstein, second by Kelly, to amend the motion that if we get $4,000, we accept it. And come back. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Discussion of possible recommendation on police department staffing.
So I might as well start with this. I asked for this to go on the agenda, because it is budget time. And I know public safety, when we had that as a group, we discussed doing full-time officer, full-time chief on a regular basis. But it's just something that, again, I think needs to be brought up to be looked at again. After I thought more of it, too, after the increase that we just did with the police department. So I did ask for Michelle to add it and maybe run all those numbers that we have in the past, like how much it would cost the village to do a full-time chief, and that would be the elimination of the part-time altogether. I don't know how that'll all work, how, budget will happen, but I just,
Start the talk discussion.
again, yeah.
Yes.
And I know, it's been brought up so many times, but I just, with all the issues that we're having in the village lately, again, I don't,
It's a necessary thing.
it's something to discuss.
I
So
agree.
I did ask for it to be put back on the agenda and to be talked about and looked at, so I guess, if Michelle can run the numbers, as to, what we're looking at,
What we need for budget,
yeah, what,
what the budget is currently.
right,
Do you guys know what, the full-time is even getting paid roughly? I mean, I have no idea.
Well, I think we should probably take the time with you doing what you're doing with getting all the budgetary things into place. If you'll allow some of us to make some calls around and find out what full-time chiefs are being paid in cities that are similar in size, and try to see if they got an idea what their budget is, so we can get a more clear idea.
I mean, I know what our benefits would be, I know that kind of stuff, but I don't know what's even feasible for wages.
So if we come up with like 3 to 4 cities that are, or villages that are in this standard size compared to us, and contact them to get a clearer picture of what they're spending, if they have a full-time police department and whatnot. I don't think Jill is considered in the same size as us.
I mean, I have a clerk list I can send to too, but I don't know, if there's smaller municipalities, now if you have something with people that would be,
I would say if you go on WileyNet, that's the law enforcement where they post jobs, you could check there.
What is
I
that?
know
WI.
WILENET. I know, for instance, right now, I know Pulaski's larger than us, but their officer position that they're hiring is starting at 26 and their top is 36.
$6 an hour.
Yep. And that's for an officer, not the chief. So, and again, I know they're bigger, but that's a local one that I saw recently that was on there. Yeah, that's where I would use for a jumping off point is Wiley Net. Yeah, everyone's been taking a hike. We actually lost one of our candidates, went to UWGB part-time. They started at $35 an hour part-time there. So everyone is taking these hikes with the raises or with pay. So,
Right.
yep. Your old alma mater, the Brown County Sheriff's Department, just hired part-time too for transport. They're doing $35 an hour too.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried swinging someone this way that was going to be retiring, and they said they were going over there for transports for.
I mean, dispatch is down 18. You can always go to dispatch.
So Tim, are you, I mean, do you wanna call or check into some place in here? You guys wanna give me some ideas of what you're looking at maybe for wage? I mean, I could send out a clerk list or if someone wants to get on WileyNet and see and give me some.
I don't mind going on WileyNet and taking a look and seeing if there's some of those.
If I have at least some idea of what you're looking for a range, if we're looking at like an hourly rate, if we're looking at a salary type range, that would,
They wouldn't be able to be salary
depending on what the wage is, would they be able to? Depending on,
because they have to be, what is it, 80% administrative would be salary.
I didn't know if, I guess we'd have to check with
That
workforce
changed.
development.
Because wasn't Tony,
He was, and that did change.
that did
It
change from when
changed,
Tony
yes,
was.
and it depended on how many reports they had, but I didn't know if there was a certain threshold of a dollar amount, that once you reach that dollar amount, you would be okay
Was
to be
Todd
salary.
Cheney salary?
He was,
He
but that
was.
was a different regime.
Right,
That was a
but
different
still.
time, it changed since that.
But that was the last time we had a full-time chief, was Escalante in.
So yeah, it might have to be hourly, which we can figure that out, either way, we can figure
Right.
it out. So.
And then also there's somebody down at the NWTC in the academy area that I know I can reach out to and get some ideas too. If that's okay with the board.
Yeah, I think we need to have more discussion and we can bring this back to the next county meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get me some information, whatever, I can maybe start getting some of this together, and then like the benefit stuff I have. So by consensus, you want this to go to the next month?
Hell, yeah.
Okay, number D6, discussion of possible recommendation on part-time police officer interviews.
Well, if you're thinking about eliminating part-timers, maybe we should not do anything right now.
And so maybe we'll hold off, you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we said to go forward with it, and then I feel like this is always a changing factor.
And keep in mind, we had 4 really good qualified people. We're down to 2 really good qualified people because everyone's taking jobs elsewhere. So it may end up having to be reposted if you decide in 2-3 months to. I mean, we may have to start all over again. So
I do have one question. I had spoken with somebody, and Allison's on light duty, correct?
she is on that duty.
Okay, if she's on light duty and not carrying her full duty belt, why is she on the road? That was, they asked me that.
She's not on the road.
Well, she's going to businesses.
Correct. She's collecting key holder information for all the businesses. So if we have an alarm, something happens after hours, she's collecting all that data. In addition to that, we have her collecting information about video systems. If you have a video system in your business, how long it's retained. So if we have a burglary or a crime, we know who's got video cameras in the area, how long we can. So she's doing all that kind of stuff.
Could this not have been compiled by an email? Sent out to the businesses with a short form? I mean, there's a lot of people were asking why they just showed up and whatever, and it's like, I have no idea. I don't dedicate the time to the police department.
Mhm.
That's the chief's responsibility.
Sure.
So they were just wondering why they weren't contacted in another way, because they're used to that kind of thing, where like there's an issue, they get an email or whatever. When they have people that may not be the ones to answer the questions that are there, are the ones that are getting asked when it should be the property owners or whatever. That's what they said. Because they said, well, two of them over here, they didn't understand why the police were there asking them about their security systems and everything like that. And I was like, did they speak to you? And they're like, no. And I was like, that's what I was wondering, why we don't contact them first and tell them what we're looking for so they can put the information together quicker. Because the ones that are being asked aren't the ones that are actually know.
Sure. There's a sheet that she has that she can leave with them and the owners can fill it out and send it back to us. That's fine.
Okay,
But it's a small town. I prefer people have face-to-face contact rather than by email. It's kind of cold, you know?
right.
And then we
I
get the,
understand that, but I was just asking, I had two questions on that.
Sure.
With her being on light duty
correct.
on the road, that was the first question. And the second question was, I didn't know if it was more time effective, seeing what we have to pay for that. If it wouldn't have been better with a letter.
I don't think it would be better with a letter because if we don't have the updated contact, how do I know who to email?
Maybe we could have just sent the letter to all the business owners, or you could perform the questions that you need, they could have had it filled out maybe, and
Well, but again, this is a nice opportunity for them to interact with our department. If they have questions for us or things that they're looking for us, this is her ability to go out to these businesses and reach out and be visible and present and talk to people. I mean, she gets a lot of information going to these businesses too about issues they're having that they don't feel comfortable calling sometimes. And it's like, no, it's okay to call. And it serves more of a community policing role than anything. It's good for the village, not bad.
Again, I'm presenting the questions that were asked to me.
Right, and I'm answering them.
Make a motion to move the part-time officer interviews to table it till a later date.
I'll second it.
Motion by Kelly, second by Zuger. To move the recommendation of part-time police officer interviews to a later date. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible recommendation by the radar board.
As I spoke with you before, the radar board has been damaged beyond repair. It would be an insurance claim. Again, the cost of the board was, it was a couple $1,000s. The insurance portion, from what Michelle told me, that we would be out is $1,000 to have a brand new board brought up. I don't know what you want to do with that. We have about $100 in shipping right now. Our old board is still at the facility down in Texas, and they also would like to know what to do with the old board.
How
So
effective was that board, do you think?
I think it's a good deterrent. It's a nice reminder with the flashing lights and everything. I believe it serves its purpose. But again, it's going to cost $1,000.
That was initially paid for by a grant, was not.
Yes.
The question is, would we be able to apply for that same grant again for that?
No, that was all done.
I think it was like $4,800 for the board,
Yeah.
so you'd be looking at $1,000.
I think we should go ahead.
So it only cost us $1,000 to get
Right.
a new board?
Correct. And I don't
That's what I'm
know
understanding.
if the insurance claim works like this, but we already have over $100 in shipping. So I don't know if that would work in the claim too, where we could take that off and it'd be $800. I don't know how that would all work out. We'd have to talk to the insurance carrier.
Usually they just take it off, whatever the cost is, but I can talk to them.
I mean, I've had a lot of people say that they liked seeing it, especially with the troubled
Yeah.
I have a
areas.
lead foot, so occasionally I come into town, it reminds me to slow down.
I mean, we've had a lot of complaints
It's
of
true.
speeding in the,
Yeah.
in certain areas. So if we can set it up on the troubled areas, I don't think that was a bad thing.
And then, is there any way, with that setup that we had out there, we just moved it out there and basically you set it down, right? and that's why it got hit, because the guy took the corner too close.
The guy who hit it also took down a power pole and everything, so he,
Right, the thing I was wondering was if, I don't know if that would have made a difference in that situation, but is there any way we can, and if it's allowable, we found a mounting bracket that we could put it on a pole, and if We Energies allows that.
Well, we can put it on a pole, but I think what we had going on before with that cement base, and, I mean, it was changed to a telephone pole, cement base, it was substantial force that took that thing out.
Right.
Oh,
So
I have another
what,
question. It seems as they had to pay for the pole, didn't they?
No.
They didn't have to pay for.
no, we were unable to find who did it.
Oh,
Really?
I thought we had a witness.
We did, they had a vehicle description and a description of the plow that hit it, but we were unable to find out. We pulled the security cameras, and that's what brought up part of the security cameras along the corridor of 117 here. That's what spurred that with, okay, who's got actual cameras that we can pull and use if something like this happens again? We went down and there was no usable video of that area, so.
So you do feel, back to the setup of all of it, DPW working with you on moving it into different areas, that's what was working, right?
The way it's designed to do is the strap to a pole, and it's labor intensive. You have to have ladders out there.
Right.
The first time we put it up, there were 3 of us out there trying to get it upright. And when you start moving it like that, you run the risk of dropping the board yourself or damaging it yourself. The setup that Jesse and the guys came up with, I think, is a good idea in that they can move it with their back. You know, it's more conducive for them to
yeah,
move
see,
it.
we can put it in the backhoe, rather than the guy trying to pick up a barrel of cement.
Right.
We can put it in there and then we change it to a telephone pole, it ain't going anywhere, whatever, I guess it caught it, just slapped it right now, but, I mean, you can't prevent everything.
No.
And, maybe we look at positioning it on the inside of the sidewalk this time or something. I mean, because I still don't know how it can, it's not my job to know, but maybe we can put it on the sidewalk, that if he's really walking up, well, people can say that.
Yes,
People
Right.
complain about everything.
Yeah,
that'll be a reason.
We could do the lessons learned between us and the police department on where to put it. I think we had a good setup, it was working good until it got hit by that,
Correct.
whatever
Right.
it was.
And we had actually even pulled it in during the winter, just to extend the life of the board and stuff with the
Right.
weather and plows and stuff. So we tried to be as safe as we could. It just, unfortunately, a plow came through, the thing broke. It was a fluke, I guess, so.
Well, I'll make a recommendation to the board.
I think you guys can, I know it's not action, but I think you guys go ahead and at least we work on.
Okay.
Make the recommendation to the board that.
I'll make a recommendation to the board to go ahead with the ordering of the new radar board.
I'll second it.
Motion by Zuliger, second by Court. Make the recommendation to the board and go ahead on a brand new radar board. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Finished business. Discussion on possible recommendation on village personnel policy update.
Guess what? I don't have it yet.
There's the update.
So I sent my letter to Mr. Van de Castle, just about a month ago, and do not have anything from him. Of the 2 things we had out there with him, we did get the 501c3 packet, but I did not get anything on the village personnel policy. So, I believe Ashley's out of the office this week, so I will follow up with her on Monday, say, hey, I sent the letter, asking for it, don't have it. So what do we do from here? So that was her last thing, was to send him a letter saying that basically we paid for these services, for what you've done, we've spent X amount of dollars for this policy, please send it as is, where it's at, so that we can at least go with it where it's at. And I have not received anything.
And if we don't have anything back from him regarding that, it's itemized on the bill what he charged for that.
Then she was going to proceed with writing him a letter or sending him something saying that basically the village has paid over $2,000 for work that you've said you've done on this. They still have nothing. You need to reimburse them for your time and services and give them their money back because they don't have a finished product.
We can take them to court.
Right, I have nothing. We sent it to him August 17th, I think, of last year. He's been working on it, and I get charged, I was being charged monthly for it. At one point, like I said, he thought he sent it to me, it was finished. So,
Okay.
still, since it's over for next week.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion by Hansling, second by Zuger to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Do we say aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Adjourned at 6:46.
We adjourn.
Come on, little sweat.